In Dawntrail, Krile will be joining us on our adventure to Tral in the hope of learning more about her grandfather's time there. So before we set sail, we should refresh ourselves on why this matters so much to her, by learning a little bit more about Krile and her grandfather. The man is named Galuf Baldesion, and from a young age he was a budding scholar. He wanted to see the wider world outside of Sharlayan. He was not content with just reading about others' adventures. Instead, early on, he sat across the sea with 3 of his friends, who sadly we don't know the names of, though we did get to see them during his flashbacks during Eureka. On those adventures, they learned about the world, both the good and the bad, and Galuf did take some interest in the primals, wanting to understand them and the threat they pose to our world. And it was because of this interest that he discovered the primal Eureka, a primal that he could not destroy, and instead chose to contain it to keep everyone safe. When returning back from his adventures, he used his role and wealth as the patriarch of House Baldesion to buy the deserted Isle of Val, and there he founded the Students of Baldesion, and built various research facilities and places of study on the island. And the students would partake in research there, travel the world for their studies, and even work with outside forces like the Science of the Seven Dawn and the Sharlayan Forum, all with the goal of protecting the star. On the side, Balgraf also financed several orphanages and the education of promising young people, taking special note of the orphans themselves to fund their future education and growth. And it's during this endeavor that he met with Krile. He was raised in one of these orphanages, and around the age of 12, it was discovered he possessed the Echo. So he was adopted by Galuf, who directed his research into studying the Echo. But he was no test subject. He truly cared for her and never treated her as anything but family. Still, these early years were difficult for Krile. Being able to sense the whispers of other people's souls, it made her distressed. She would isolate herself and avoid close contact with others. Galuf, seeing her isolation, ended up making her a yellow cat-eared hood, made specifically for her. And when he gifted it to Krile, he assured her that her ability was nothing that made her weak. In fact, one day, this might prove to be a tremendous strength. And to this day, Krile does wear that hood as sort of almost a security blanket. But from that day, Krile devoted herself to her studies. She attended the studium in Sharlayan, specializing in the faculty of the arcane, becoming skilled in various healing and curing magic. She was in the school around the same time as the Levier twins, and actually would become acquainted and later friends with both of the twins. After graduation, Krile would join the Students of Baldesion, through which she got to know Minfilia and gained a better understanding of the Echo. And while we did not meet Krile in person until Heavensward, the Students of Baldesion were working with the science throughout most of A Realm Reborn. At the time, they were focusing on studying of Asians, summoning, and calamities. But it was during the later ARR patches that we got news that the Isle of Val had gone missing. And what happened there would not become clear to us until we were able to enter Eureka in the Stormblood expansion. You see, many years ago, when Galuf and his friend were traveling, they discovered the primal Eureka. They understood the danger of this being and realized they were incapable of killing it, so they sealed it away on the Isle of Val within a vault named the Baldesion Arsenal. After founding the Students of Baldesion, some studies would be made on Eureka in the hope of better understanding the primal, with the goal of one day destroying it. But Galuf would never get to see that day. The Asian Emerald ended up discovering the existence of Eureka, and he plotted to set it free to facilitate another rejoining. Understanding the devastation that Eureka would cause, Galuf was forced to make an impossible choice. Using powerful magic, he sunk the Isle of Val into the ethereal sea, killing all on it, including himself. The sole survivor of this incident was Krile, who has ever since searched to better understand her grandfather, his adventures and his choices. We went with her to the Isle of Val during the Eureka side content and learned about the primal, her grandfather's death, and how we would have to deal with the threat there. But now that she has found a letter to her grandfather, giving her a chance to learn more about the man who became her family, it is only natural that she comes with us to Tural to try to investigate the mysterious cities of gold. And for this reason I feel her story is gonna be very special in this expansion, especially now as it's gonna be part of the main story instead of optional side content. But that is in short the history of Krile and her grandfather. Was there anything here you didn't know about? Or did I maybe forget about something you feel I should have mentioned? Let's talk about it down in the comments. And while you're down there, maybe give me a commendation by liking and subscribing. But in the end, all I wanna say is takk fyrir að horfa og eigðu yndislegan dag.